Hello, good morning. Welcome to Refresher Course in Education, organized by Teaching Learning Center, Ramanujan College, University of Delhi, in collaboration with Tilak College of Education, Pune, and Department of Education, Assam University, Silchar. This is Dr. Sunita Magre, Professor and Head, Department of Education, University of Mumbai. I'm very thankful for inviting me as a resource person for this refresher course. Today, we will discuss the topic service learning. Lecture outline, the introduction, roots of service learning, historical backdrop, concept of service learning, key terms in service learning, conceptual framework, core principles of service learning, and the key takeaways. Objectives of the session. When you go through this session, you will be able to understand the roots of service learning, the history of service learning, the concept of service learning, and the various terms used in the service learning. You will be able to learn core principle of service learning. You will be able to learn various approaches of service learning. Learning outcomes. At the end of the session, you will be able to explain the concept of service learning. Explain the various terms used in service learning. Explain the core principles of service learning and explain the various approaches of service learning. The roots of service learning. The service learning has a philosophical roots in the writings of Brazilian educator Paulo Freire and the American educator John Dewey. Freire believed education was a process of empowerment rather than view education as a banking process, which views students as empty accounts waiting to be filled. Freire viewed the teacher-learner relationship as a reciprocal relationship. Teachers teach, but are also learners. Learners learn, but also teach. Ideally, service learning is a process of empowerment of student, faculty, and community members, alike as together they are co-learners and the co-teachers in creating better communities. John Dewey is an American educator. He was formulated 6 steps of education process. Number 1, that is the encountering a problem. Second, formulating the problem as a question to be answered. Third, for that questions, to gather the information and to answer the posed questions. Developing a hypothesis, testing a hypothesis, and making warranted assertions. Now, these 6 steps process should build on past student experiences in order to provide students with increased skills necessary to participate in democracy. Similarly, the service learning provides students with experiences that can increase the civic engagement and better prepare students to participate in their communities. The development of service learning initiative has been accompanied by a renewed interest in progressive education, and already we discussed in the philosophy of John Dewey. The John Dewey's writing, which was based on the active nature of understanding and the benefits of and condition for participatory democracy, provide an early theoretical foundation for pedagogy in which the students are completely engaged in actual social problems. So service learning is a philosophy of human growth and purpose, a social vision, an approach to community, and the way of knowing. The service learning is a pedagogy that is grounded in experiences on the basis of learning and on the centrality and intentionality of reflections designed to enable learning to occur. And it is based on the work of researchers and theorists on learning, including John Dewey, Jean Piaget, Kurt Lewin, and David Cole, who believe that we learn through combination of action and reflection. Now, historical background. What is the history of the service learning? So the service learning are closely related to the civic and the political activism. At the turn of 19th century, the American colleges and the universities became more prominent in community life and civic engagement. In the 20th century, the civic and political activism shaped educational philosophy into vehicle for social change. A key development in service learning was a massive employment program for youth. In 1935, the National Youth Administration created jobs and educational opportunities for more than 7 lakh citizens and the age between 19 to 25 years. The program, a purpose was to teach by example the practice, responsibilities, and the rewards of citizenship. In 1961, President Kennedy established Peace Corporation. In 1964, President Johnson created Volunteers in Service to America, which is known as the VISTA. And this VISTA provides opportunities for thousands of Americans to serve full-time within their communities. In the late 70s, the development of National Society for Internship and Experiential Education and the National Center for Service Learning gave countless opportunities to Americans hoping to learn and serve. During the 80s, national service efforts were launched at the grassroots level, including the Campus Outreach Opportunities League in 1984 and the Campus Compact 1985, which helped mobilize service programs in higher education. In the 80s, include the National Association of Service and Conservation 1985, which helps replicate youth crops in states and the cities. National Youth Leadership Council 1982, which helps to prepare future leaders, and Youth Service America 1985. And since 1990 onwards, there has been an incredible increase in the development of service learning in the Institute of Higher Education. What is service learning? Now come to the definitions of service learning. According to the National Youth Leadership Council, service learning, it's a philosophy, pedagogy, and model for community development that is used as an instructional strategy to meet learning goals and or content standards. The service learning is a pedagogy integrating academically relevant service activities that addresses human and community needs into a course. Students connect knowledge and the theory to practice by combining service with reflection in a structured learning environment. Service learning is a method which engages young people in service to their communities as a means to enrich their academic learning, promote personal growth, and help them develop the skills needed for the productive citizenship. Eiler and the Gills in 1998 also developed one of the definition of service learning, and the service learning is a form of experiential education where learning occurs through a cycle of action and reflection as students work with others through a process of applying what they are learning to community problems and at the same time reflecting upon their experience as they seek to achieve real objectives for the community and deeper understanding for themselves. So in a simpler term, when we go through this definition, we can get the idea about the service learning. So in a simpler meaning or the simpler term, we can explain the service learning. The service learning is an educational method that combines academic goals with community service projects. Lessons about relevant community issues are combined with existing course content to optimize the academic experience. At the same time, students gain hands-on experience doing service projects to tackle community issues and make positive changes. The beauty of service learning is that something real and concrete is occurring. Learning takes on a new dimension when students are engaged intellectually and emotionally with a topic. They can light up with the revelation or make a connections between various ideas. What they have learned in school suddenly matters and engage their minds and their hearts. As we can say that the service learning seeks to engage individual in activities that combine both community service and academic learning, because through various service learning programs are rooted in our formal courses like our core courses, elective courses, occasional courses, audit courses. So these are the courses, and the service activities are usually based on particular curricular concepts that are being taught. Finally, we say that the service learning is a teaching method which combines community service with academic instruction as it focuses on critical, reflective thinking and civic responsibility. Service learning program involve the students in organized community service that addresses the local needs. While developing their academic skills, sense of civic responsibility and commitment towards the community. The various terms which are used for the service learners or the alternative words of the service learning, or the various key terms or the various words are used in the service learning. Sometimes it is called as the experiential learning or community engagement or integrative learning or community-based learning. So what are that concepts? So we go one by one. First is the experiential learning. What is experiential learning, or how we use the term experiential learning in service learning? So experiential learning, a philosophy and methodology in which educators purposefully engage with students in direct experience and focused reflection in order to increase knowledge, develop skills, and clarify values. The integrative learning is an understanding and a disposition that a student builds across the curriculum and co-curriculum, from making simple connections among ideas and the experiences to synthesize and transferring learning to new complex situations within and beyond the campus. Then community-based learning, or we can short form, that is the CBL. So community-based learning or CBL is a form of experiential learning that is situated outside the traditional classroom and occurs in off-campus community settings and may involve off-campus community groups and the institution. The CBL may occur domestically or internationally, the community-based learning occur domestically and can integrate a range of teaching methods, various teaching methods. So common curricular experiences which are involved in the community-based learning may include like clinical practice, field placements, clinical experiences, field projects, civic engagement, like this. The service learning, a conceptual framework of service learning. Historically, the service learning have been evolving along the lines of following models. These are the basic models to understand the conceptual framework of the service learning. So philanthropic model is based on the perceived need for charity and philanthropy. It claims neutrality with regard to social issues and argues for altruism and compensatory justice. Philanthropic model is a tool of mitigation or immediate relief best applied in cases and situations where other models of service learning have not yet been employed or considered. The civic engagement model, what it is? It is based on the premise that democracy demands equal participation and voice of all citizens. Civic engagement has a broad appeal as a source of long-term positive impact on communities, as faculty and students serve as the agent of social change consistent with democratic principles. Civic engagement model renews and alters the focus of higher education institution on service as the focal point of their mission of teaching, research, and the professional service. The third basic model is communitarian model. Now, the communitarian model assumes that humans are social beings not self-interested individual, egoists who see their main concern in politics as protecting their liberty and property. Service learning is a central to developing a sense of human community at the local level. Civic action is the public action, and the public action is a collective action. And this communitarian model or paradigm applies the notion of the golden rule at the societal level to characterize the good society as one that nourishes both social virtues and individual rights. Let us see the core principles of service learning. There are the three core principles: reflection, reciprocity, and the community voice. Reflections means the activities are designed to compel students to explore the perspectives, the stories, the questions, and the feelings that accompany the service learning experiences. For example, portfolios, blogs, wikis, classroom discussion, and professional learning plans. Then reciprocity, it refers to the mutually beneficial relationship among those serving and those served. And community voice, the inclusion of community voice in service learning, collaboration can lessen the likelihood that conflict, exploitation, violences will occur. Then approaches to service learning. There are three approaches to service learning: civic engagement approach, social justice approach, and critical approach. The civic engagement approach to service learning provides student opportunities to understand the importance of their participation in society and to develop civic habits for engagement. It also attempts to prepare students to assume a civic-minded outlook, their career, and to acquire the knowledge needed to be active citizens in their communities. The social justice approach to service learning is designed to help students address conflict and the power differences in society, expose and exchange the existing social order, actively devise ways to make the world more equitable, and view the world through a political lens by considering exploitation voice and the resistance. The critical approach to service learning is a progressive pedagogical approach that supports the political nature of service, seeks social justice over traditional view of citizenship, and requires educators to focus on critical community issues. And this is the conclusion of my session. The service learning has a philosophical root in the writings of Brazilian educator Paulo Freire and American educator John Dewey. Service learning is a teaching and learning methodology that connects classroom curriculum with identified community issues and their needs. Experiential learning, integrative learning, community-based learning are the key terms which are used in the service learning. Historically, the service learning evolving philanthropic model, civic engagement model, and communitarian model. Reflection, reciprocity, and community-wise are the core principles of service learning. And the civic engagement, social justice, and the critical approaches are the approaches to service learning. So in the next session, we will more discuss about the service learning. Thank you very much.